if I want to keep it a stack with y'all, gaming has been pretty great lately, right? And by lately, I mean probably within the past 12 to 15 years or so. And this is coming from a guy that plays a fair amount of video games, from the big stuff to the little stuff to the personal stuff to... Okay, look, I like eugenics, okay? Even if there's entirely too much fetus imagery in all these guys' games, like what is up with that? Regardless, I like eugenics. What I don't like, however, is the state of video game journalism. I guess I've never really liked it, but now since I've been making video game content, primarily on TikTok, I tend to be surrounded by it more. I'm not just talking about IGN or GameSpot or Polygon specifically per se, but I am talking about what the proliferation of rating games has done to our collective perception of video games. If you're anything like me, and for the most part I'm decently normal, you really like when people enjoy the things you like. So whenever I see people strongly disliking what I like, I tend to wonder what went wrong. Thinking about it now though, is that really sensible? No one has to like what I like, in some part because it shouldn't require anyone else to like it for me to, but also because we just aren't all the same dude. I know that's a little cliche, but entertain me for a bit. Even if it's for later criticism, I'm fine with that. What I'm gonna call hyperfixation on some type of numeric system when judging the quality of games is just categorically self-defeating, in the sense that it attempts to make objective something that truly isn't. And sure, I know that's not actually the explicit goal of IGN or whoever else is rating games, but that's how it's treated, and why wouldn't we treat it that way? They're publicized, oftentimes just the number, and likely the vast majority of people are just regurgitating the number alone, sometimes to constitute most of or their entire opinion of the game. That number alone is the objectivity. It reflects some sort of consumer value in the title. So that game that had that really cool mechanic you liked, or that game that had that really fascinating narrative that spoke directly to you, or what about that other one that did platforming in a way that you've never quite seen before and it really got you into platforming focused indies? Well, that game's a 7 out of 10. Sorry, I guess you just like something that was mediocre. Ugh. Look, still, I wouldn't be making a video like this or sitting you through this long introduction explaining my project if this was just some personal issue. These objective findings of subjective experiences not only may color our own experiences with a game or other IP, but it may and often does stop others that may have had fun with that IP from actually wanting to start it in the first place, and that is what I cannot stand. It's the fact that all this negative press about something could genuinely stop someone from exploring what could be actually a great experience for the type of gamer or learner or reader or artist that they are or resonate with. So what if we just did away with all this over-objectivity of gaming journalism? And look, I'm no anarchist. It's not like I don't see the value in gaming journalism. I do, but we are overly interested, maybe as consumers, in treating video games like merely reviews, ratings, and sales when those are just consequences of them. The video game itself is simply interactive art and should be treated that way. Now, when I say treat it that way, I mean with regard to who the art was made for, what type of person may enjoy this art, etc. It's kind of like that Arnold Schoenberg quote, if it's art, it's not for all, and if it's for all, it's not art. I think that's pretty profound, even though I don't know who Arnold Schoenberg is. Alright, so the project is finding a way to just cut numbers out of gaming journalism, starting with reviews. I do like that, but make no mistake, just because we won't be deciding at the conclusion of the video that the game is an 8 out of 10 or whatever, doesn't mean we aren't using some sort of rubric. I'm still taking things into consideration past just a vibe check. In fact, I would argue this format of review is a bit more demanding and thorough than the standard way of just using your own experience and sensibilities, even though obviously that's in part what I'll be doing. Instead, I'll be trying to come up with loose categories of gamer sensibilities. For instance, gamers that love rich narratives, visual styles, gamers that love a complex, responsive combat system, gamers that love certain representations of characters, great dialogue. I want this to be more of the criteria. So when I'm making my criticisms and reviews on a game, it's less of, oh, this game is bad, or, oh, this game is great, and more so, oh, this game's totally up my alley, or, interesting, but not for me. I hope that makes sense to everyone still within earshot. Now, for those of you that love themselves some objectivity, I don't know, dude, grow up. No, I'm kidding. This system still allows me to feel like certain things are great and certain things are weak in how the game plays or functions or presents itself. In fact, there are certain games, at least I think, are such strong pieces of art. It doesn't actually matter what genre you usually like or what sensibilities you have, you're probably going to enjoy them anyway. Think of those as my proverbial 10 out of 10s, though you'll never, and I mean this sincerely, ever see me giving anything an actual 10 out of 10 because we hate numbers in this house. Seriously, fudge the numbers.